so happy, my hair so nappy, had an afro.
I don't really. I just hate it when we go out with a whimper. Not, go out with everything you got, but that is unacceptable for me.
Yeah. No, I think.
Wow.
I think the game played out the way.
So
probably looking like how I feel.
I'm disappointed. It's Bayern is not that good. I know people are talking about how the experience they are. They're not that good. I'm sorry, they're just not.
You just said two different things there. You just said two different things.
You're saying Bayern is experienced and they're good, and I'm saying they're not.
No. I didn't say they're good. I said they're experienced. Okay. You said they're good.
They have experienced left back. Alphonso Davies didn't play today. I'm watching Man City playing Real Madrid, and they put on Doku. That's how you rinse defenders, okay? I've been saying that for the whole season. No, but we gotta get wingers who can rinse people.
We don't have them. We don't have them. We don't have a big time striker.
Am I told we have a world-class winger? Am I being told we have a world-class winger playing right wing?
Yes, but Saka and Foden are more potential, aren't they?
Why are you saying you don't have them if they're not being asked, if they're not being coached to play that way?
And this is why we had this conversation last week, Bertrand, which actually was a very good conversation I had with you in terms of Victor Nestini Jr., Vic Jr. and Saka. One is at their potential and the other is getting there. Two different players. But if I had to choose between both of them, I'd pick Victor Jr. For that reason, that he's there now.
Look, the team he picked today, I'll be honest, the only difference I thought Partey should be in for Jorginho. I don't care if he has one leg on. I'm sorry. I thought Partey should be for Jorginho. That was the only difference in the team. I would have played Tom at left back because Sané has been ridiculously good, frankly, against us. And today he was a threat again. But I would have just played the same team. I don't think Trossard is not a winger. I know he scored against when we won in the last 16, but I don't think he's a winger.
Yeah, I agree.
He doesn't go right. So he needs to be in the middle of the park. He's the best goal scorer. Yeah. He needs to be in the middle of the park. But I would have played Partey because we couldn't penetrate their defense all day. How many saves did Neuer make today? How many real saves did he make?
So Bertram, if you're suggesting we should have seen Partey and Partey didn't show up at all, what's that saying about Partey's fitness in a situation where we need him in a game like this?
Why is he on the bench? If he's not fit, why is he on the bench? If he can't play, why is he on the bench? If he can't go 35, 40 minutes, why is he on the bench? That makes no sense.
How many other midfielders do we have on the bench? I didn't see that. I haven't seen the subs.
Well, we don't have anybody with his capabilities, right?
No, his capabilities. We're not talking about capabilities because Arteta made a substitution and took off your central midfielder, deep lying, and asked Rice to be in that situation and bring on two attacking players. So,
but that's if I may answer that, Bertram. Basically, if you look at what Arteta done, he put Rice in his best position. Rice's best position is not left center attacking. His best position is the 6. Now, he's been given carte blanche to go up, and be more effective in the final third by putting Jorginho at the 6. But actually, that doesn't really work in some situations because Jorginho doesn't have that level of passing. In slower games, Jorginho can look like a genius, but actually he doesn't have that level of passing that a Thomas Partey has. And also, as Bertram has alluded to, he's not the fastest player. So as a single pivot 6, he's not the greatest. Yeah. The other thing is, Rice, his playing a little bit further up he's learning that position. He never played that for West Ham.
So here's my view, Tony. When you're playing away from home against a team like Bayern, who I'm gonna say Apollo's word is they're experienced. I think you need legs in your midfield, quality legs in your midfield. Partey and Rice, not playing in double pivot, covers a whole lot of space. Give Odegaard more freedom to go across the front line versus just playing on the right against Saka, and you have more opportunities there. Partey can make a 40-yard pass or a 5-yard pass. He can get rid of players. how many times in this game has a midfielder dismissed somebody and create space behind them? Not once in the game. Dip their shoulder and go forward. So the defender is behind you. How do we break that first line of Bayern? You got to break the first line with some cute passes. None of that. So that's my frustration. Look, I've always said this. Arteta, game man, unless he has the exact team on the field, his game management is not going to win us the game. You know what he does when he's losing? Throwing a bunch of forwards. They don't even know what they're playing. When Nketiah came on a while ago, who was playing where? Nobody knows. He's running to space with Tommy Sasu. When we're losing, he loses it. He just throws a bunch of forwards and hope something happens. That's not how you game manage. You're only down 1-0. You're only down 1-0. You're trying to get one goal.
And that's why I said in regards to that situation when he took off Jorginho, how was the formation with the team? Because Odegaard technically should then come back to assist Rice in the midfield, but we looked even worse as a team.
Yeah, it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen that way. It was never going to happen that way.
We looked even more disjointed with the substitutions.
You know why? Why are you not throwing a centre back up front?
Let Gary have a chat. Go, Gary.
You know, why are you not throwing a centre back up front and putting the ball long? All this tiki-taka rubbish. When you're losing a game and you, like Bertram said, you only need one goal. You know, you're not asking them to go out there blasting 3 or 4. You need one opportunity to score a goal. Put the ball long. Get Havertz, get Gabriel, Saliba, whoever. Let them get the little flick-ons, free kicks, edge of the area. See what can happen. But listen, I'm just so up. Listen, you win. You're not going to win every game. We understand this. But it's how you win. It's how you lose. And to me, we've gone out there tonight, and we might as well. We went with our tails between our legs. There was no real fight. There was no real passion to say, look, we want to win this game. It was let's contain. Bayern had runners from everywhere. The most times did they break through the midfield and have runners past the midfield? We don't play football that way. Our football's controlled, and it's the wingers are static. They don't. Martinelli doesn't go past his man. He can't use his left foot. There's no switching off the wingers. You know, we've started to complicate football again. And what made us so successful and what made us go on the run that we did was because we kept things simple. Pass, move, cross, shoot. All of a sudden, it's like we got too big for our boots. We think that we've made it. And now it's all starting to crumble down. And if we're not careful, we'll end up finishing 4th. Because if we carry on losing games and not doing what we did to make us successful, you know, I'd hate to see us end up. If we finish 2nd, fair play. But we've got to be real careful here because, you know, we should have done better tonight. We should have done better on Sunday. It's 2 games now. Let's not hope it's not a 3rd when we meet Chelsea.
All right, Tony, is there anybody else that want to say anything before I do the player ratings?
Do we have to?
Do we have to?
Yeah, that's all I want to do before I go because I ain't spending the rest of the evening being negative. I'm done. So let me go into the player ratings.
I don't think it's being negative, I think we're just giving our views, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, no, but in terms of negativity, the negativity comes because we've produced a stale performance.
Yeah, but Tony, we're clearly the fact of the matter is this: is that we're not at where we need to be yet. Vincey said that at the beginning of the show, and I thought that was quite an intelligent way of looking at it. In order the frustration is that we're not good enough to win, but we're competing with these teams. We've made so much improvement this year, but that's another step beyond what we did last season. And Champions League is new for us. We haven't been there for 7 years. We've got to the quarterfinals. We should have strolled past Porto. We weren't good enough to do that. We barely got past them. So this matchup was always going to be testing. It was always going to be us trying to find out about who we were in the mix of things, in the big picture. In the first game is what killed this whole cup tie. There's no way that we should have left the Emirates Stadium at a 2-2. No chance. Unfortunately, that was the beginning of our patch. We didn't play well against Villa, and we haven't played well against tonight. And the thing that let us down, it wasn't the style of football we played in the first leg, or it wasn't because we didn't play well enough. It was the mistakes, which we've not made all year. We've gone the entirety of 2024, 4 months into the year, without even losing a single game. And so, as I said to Vincey, that's just not sustainable. So it's caught up with us. I mentioned this before on my vlog and on the forum yesterday, which is actually the most important thing I'm probably going to ever say about Arsenal this season. We've made a lot of good improvements with our squad, but we don't have an elite squad. We're not, and as we've got this far, we're now finding out how different it would be to have an elite squad in comparison to having a good squad, what we've got now. And those are the things that we have to build on as a team, as a franchise, in order to, right, is the guy on the bench good enough to the point where he should be starting? There's a few players we could mention like that. We could talk about Trossard, we could talk about Thomas Partey. You know, you might be able to have Smith Rowe into the argument here or there. Urian Timber still hasn't played. So there's an argument and a discussion to be had with those. But you need more. You first of all,
can you elaborate quickly on where you see us needing more elite players?
So
first, clearly, a number 9 has got to be.
Yeah, that's
focus.
always been. Yeah, that's always been the way.
Hold on a minute.
9.
Hold on a minute.
The most
when
important
we were scoring all them
me
goals, a number 9 wasn't needed. Now a number 9 is needed.
Yeah, but it's different. It's different now, isn't it? I mean, we've
at the elite level.
Yeah, at the elite level, we broke a franchise record without a striker last season. More goals than Arsenal's ever scored before, even with the Ian Wrights, the Henrys, the Bergkamps. This team we have now has outscored all of them lot. But this is a different time of football. It's a different level of football, and the level that has been set in Europe and in the Premier League is so high. And I made the point about Man City last season when they had them unbeaten run at 16 games, won 13 of them, and then they came to overtake us at the last minute because the lack of squad that we had. Now we have a good squad. We've trounced City and Liverpool in terms of our head-to-heads. We're unbeaten against those two teams. Isn't that great? But the other part of it is that we still have not been able to finish it off. So there's still a lot more to learn and to go with this team, and we're not there yet. That's the be all and end all.
My
yeah?
gosh,
We're not there yet, guys. As frustrating as it seems, we're not there yet.
So we spend 68 million pounds on Havertz. We could have gone on and get a striker. Sorry, not buying that.
Yeah, we could have.
Right.
But if you ask me,
why do you buy Havertz?
But if you ask me,
it's nice to have.
But if you ask me, Havertz has been our best striker this season.
He's not a striker.
Whether he is or not, he's been our best striker.
Footballer. He's not even that. He's just a nice footballer. A very nice, comfortable footballer.
Yeah. Nothing
dynamic about Havertz. Can't beat a man, can't run by a man, can't make a pass between the line. He's just a nice footballer.
But that's a position that we need to improve on. But I've said it before. For me, he should be our number 1 option at striker this season.
No, it should be a number 1 option at Chelsea.
No, I don't agree with that. So Tony,
let Vincey just pop in very quickly. Go on, because he said.
I mean, I just talking about this game, I think we're going to look back at the chance that Ben White had in that first half where he was clean through, and this is where Arsenal have to improve in our composure in situations when you're in front of goal. In games like this, we have to take our chances, and in those situations, the game changed. As Arteta said after that first game, if Ben White had taken that chance at that stage, 2-0 up, it would have been at home, it would be in a situation. I think Arsenal need to improve in regards to the ability to switch in formations and switch with players. I don't think some of the summer acquisitions have helped us in that situation, because you've spoken about, we're beating teams and we didn't need a striker. We've always needed a striker all season. Always. Let's not use the stats of what we've achieved with all the goals that we've created, because in games and situations like tonight, which is the business end of the season, is shown that we're not able to create and take chances, even with those same players who are scoring those historic totals in the Premier League. So we have to understand the phases of how you go through a season, and when you go into these big and huge tournaments, where you need players who are going to make the difference, and that's where they're going to have to target in the summer.
Who's going next? Who's going next?
I've got nothing to say.
I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say.
Yeah, I've got nothing to say, man.
I'll wait.
Go for it, Bertram. Talk, man. Talk.
So let's back up a little bit, because Vincey's talking about.
We only got 42 minutes.
Vincey's talking about a situation. I'm talking about totality. I was the only person who wasn't happy with the City draw. You know why I wasn't happy with the City draw?
Neither was I.
Because you know why? Because we went there and I thought we were ready to compete, and we weren't ready to compete. We became Sam Allardyce's team. If you are supposed to be top of the league, I see Liverpool play City, they competed with City. Home and away. We didn't compete. We went there, sat back, and hoped they don't score. Then you're not ready they're not ready to compete at the highest level. You're not ready to compete at the highest level.
Bertram, didn't we have the better chances in the game?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Bertram, did you just see that run from Kyle Walker to?
That's why I say he's a beast. That's why I say he's a beast. He's a beast. He's a beast. He's a beast.
I'm there with you. Because for me, I said if you go to Man City and you win that game, that changes the momentum and your confidence for the games coming up. And we went there with a draw, and that creates an element of doubt in my mind. And how things are played out.
Yeah. So here's a question, guy. Here's a question, actually, which is important. So Arteta's done a really good job with money, because I know Paul is going to push back on me, so I'm qualified here. With money, to build a good team and a sustainable team for the future. That's without a doubt. And we need help across the entire front line. Right wing, left wing, center forward. But he's in his fifth year. This is his fifth year. This year's his fifth year.
Fourth.
This is his fifth year.
Fourth.
January, he made 4 years.
January 2024.
He made 4 years. He's in his fifth year.
Yeah, he came in January 2020.
Yes, he's in his fifth year. We're in April. He's in his fifth year. So if you're in your fifth year in today's football, right, and you showed 3 years in a row that you're choking, that's my perspective. You may disagree with me. We were supposed to finish fourth. We finished fifth. We were supposed to win. We finished like 8 points out. This year, we seem to be dropping a game. How do you change anything? Or just keep the status quo and hope that he gets better and we win? Because you're in the fifth year in football. That's like a lifetime. So
I just think he has to listen. We keep going on about squad this, and it's not, the squad is not elite. Even if it was elite, is he going to use it? Because we've all seen Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli. They're all playing 95 plus minutes week in, week out. They're going to hit a wall at some point. They're carrying injuries. Ben White. Tomiyasu's been back for a while now. Ben White's still playing at right back with his injured knee. You can have all the players you want, right? If you're not going to use them, it's pointless. And all these players are suddenly good enough. Eddie's good enough when Jesus is out for 3 months. Eddie was good enough. This season, last season. Jesus comes back. Eddie sits on the bench. How does that make? That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. In certain games, you have to pick your horses for courses, right? So against the likes of a Burnley, I don't know, the lower teams, whatever. I can't even think of the lower teams at the moment, but you know what I'm trying to say. Do you need to play a full strength team every time you play these lowly games? Yes, the Premier League's not an easy league, but surely you can give Saka a rest against the Luton, against the Burnley. You got Reece Nelson. The kid's never let us down when he's had minutes, but can't get a sniff. Smith Rowe, come back from injury, can't get a sniff. Vieira, I think it's a waste of space anyway. You know, Partey's come back. Played 70 minutes. We haven't seen him since. Been on the bench. If you're not fit enough to play any part in the game, why are you on the bench? It makes no sense to me.
Because you have to have the numbers on the bench.
Yeah, but then put someone on the pitch, put someone on the bench who can come on and play if needed.
Yeah, I think what you'll find, Gary, is that he probably hasn't got somebody that he could put on the bench ahead of Partey.
Yeah, but if you're not going to play the guy, what's the point of having him there? That game was crying out for Thomas Partey today.
Because, Gary, quite simply, if you take Thomas Partey off the bench, you're putting a player from the under-23s in on the bench.
Moscow. Oh my gosh. Rudiger. Flip me.
He's a defender. Vince, he's a defender. He's shot like a defender.
Yeah. You know, if you take Partey off the bench, you're basically saying, oh, I'll take Partey off the bench. I'll keep him in the squad, but I'm going to put Ethan Nwaneri on the bench.
But Tony,
and then what would be the effect when you lose a game and you had to put Ethan Nwaneri on for Jorginho? Oh, but we got fit Partey. Why didn't he put Partey on the bench?
Tony, Ethan may be better, Tony, at this point. Given the way Ethan is playing, he may be better than Jorginho.
Yes, but that's the thing. This is the point that I'm trying to make is you ask a question, but sometimes you have to think that you can't just say, just don't have him on the bench, because the option is you're going to have somebody who's even worse.
I didn't say that. I didn't say what I said. If he's not fit enough to play any part in the game, he shouldn't be on the bench. That's
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, because if you're telling me that Thomas Partey can't give you 5 minutes in a game where you need to pass through the lines,
Gary,
why is he on the bench?
I asked for Thomas Partey at half time
in
this game.
I thought he was going to come on. But what I'm saying is,
honestly don't understand what is going on with Thomas Partey.
But guys, this is the question why I asked the question when he made the substitution with Jorginho. You've got El Neni on the bench, you've got Emil Smith-Rowe on the bench, and midfield and Partey. He didn't bring Partey on. So how was the formation in that situation, and how did we play? How did we control the game? Because you can't just
Vinci. You're asking the man to game manage, Vinci. Stop doing that, Vinci. That's not fair.
No. Bertram.
Vinci, stop doing that. Stop asking the man to game manage, Vinci. Stop doing that.
If the family want to ask why Partey's not on the bench, why he's not playing for even 5 minutes and he's not selected, you have to ask what's going on in midfield, because we're not a long ball team.
Well, but in that last 5 minutes, we should have become a long ball team.
And we didn't even put no long balls out. So we have to ask the question, what was
guys, here's what people are missing. No, see, here's what people are missing, right? If you're playing dominating football, the game is now narrowed because you're now playing in the middle of my half, and they're holding you at the 18-yard line, right? Hard to penetrate. They're covering all the spaces. You need people in that area who can create something out of nothing, right? You need somebody to bamboozle somebody to create something out of nothing, or to make some little one cute 1-2 pass between somebody's leg or right between their foot to get in. Otherwise, it ain't gonna work. As we showed today, we don't have that. So you know what happened? No, he didn't make a save today. That we took a shot. He made one with.
You know what?
So how did that substitution help? How did that substitution, Bertram? How did that substitution help us?
It didn't.
My manager is not into the game management business. He's into put the team on the field and hope for the best. If they score against me, I put on 10 forwards and hope they score.
All right, guys, I'm gonna do the player rating so I can get off this podcast. Yeah, I'm not going to spend an hour listening to this. All right, so David Raya, for me, 5. He wasn't forced into too many saves, but I think he looked a little bit nervous when the ball came into the box. But overall, I think he had a good start at the beginning, but I think he just wasn't. I just think that he wasn't assertive in terms of his distribution today. That could have probably helped. We've seen him from where he stands force teams under massive pressure with his distribution, but we didn't have that as a weapon today. I'm going to give him a 5. Ben White, I'm going to give him a 4. First of all, he never got into the final third today in the first half, and I said that was by design. It was obviously the tactical thing where Bayer ripped him to shreds in the midfield, playing long balls through the back line in the first leg. And so Arteta wanted to stop that. So that was a tactical decision to keep Ben White at bay. But honestly, not closing down the corner, which is what he was doing before Christmas. He was at fault for 4 goals in the Premier League for those reasons. And he's been fantastic. He's actually been one of the top 3 players in that whole January to April. And you can see where the ball comes over his head. He runs to the player and then he stops. Like, your momentum should take you to block that shot and force a corner or a throw in, and he does nothing. And then, so because he doesn't do his job, that makes it difficult for everybody else, for the goalkeeper, for the centre backs. You know, Saliba and Gabriel, it was in the middle there, and quite frankly, it wasn't a forward. That goal, the header, came from an incoming midfielder, which, as we know, normally goes unmarked when you run into the box late. So I'm pinning that one on Ben White. Not a good performance from him. Saliba, I thought, had a decent game. It's definitely down the back line. He kept his calm. When they tried those through balls, it didn't work because he was pretty much on his game. Probably give him a 7 today. Gabriel, pretty much the same as him, produced an excellent 2 blocks, some good defending clearances, sequences from him. But the only problem with Gabriel of late, and I've noticed this over the last few games, is his distribution is just woeful. Like, when he gets the ball on the halfway line, it looks like he just doesn't know what to do with it. And so that may be a little bit of a concern for me. Normally never seen him. I said this 2 weeks ago. When he actually played next to David Luiz, his distribution was really good. In fact, some of the passes he was playing really surprised me. And it seems like in that phase, he's regressed. He's been so good everywhere else, clearances, duels, you know, doing his job one-on-ones. He's taken the rashness out of his challenges. But his distribution, for me, seems to be declining, which is, you know, maybe they need to work on that with him. Tomiyasu, he gets a 6. The guy that we wanted today, I don't know, he didn't look settled. And again, is this because he hasn't played? He hasn't played a lot of football. Considering he came back from the tournament in Japan, it's been a while now. And he's been sitting on the Arsenal bench for 4 or 5 games and just hardly getting any minutes. And today he didn't look sharp. He didn't look his sharp self. So yeah, that would have been a major difference to me had you given him a run previously, played him beforehand, and allowed him to settle into that mode. And obviously he would have hit the ground running today. And for me, he didn't. I think he struggled today. Jorginho gets a 5. Look, Musiala, man, just killed him. He just. And it got to the point where Jorginho was just trying to grab his jersey every time he ran past him. And for that reason alone shows why you needed Thomas Partey in the starting lineup. I think the manager got that wrong. Jorginho had no effect on this game whatsoever, considering he's been one of our best players in that January to April run. And today he just looked completely, the game went by. The game passed him by. And it's strange, when you bring someone with his experience and ability to control a game, he lost control. He didn't even have control. You have to have control to lose it, right? He didn't even have control of this game. I mentioned this about 10 minutes before the final whistle, and I said Declan Rice's standards are not up to where it was at the first half of the season. I've noticed in the last few months, his dominant performances have dropped off. And look, there's nothing to be ashamed of. When you've been as good as he has been, and believe me, he's probably been our best player this season, it's really, really hard to maintain that level. And I think right now he's in a little bit of a hole. And I don't know, maybe it's tiredness. He did rest for a game, the game that Thomas Partey started. I think it was the Luton game. I have to go back and look at this, but I believe it was Luton at home at the Emirates, which is where Partey started and Rice was rested. But I just think he's somewhat gassed a little bit. There's that extra energy and dominance that's missing from his game. And when it happens to a winger or someone like that, it doesn't impact you. When it happens to your cog, when it happens to the brain of your machine, then it really hurts you. And I think a lot of our performances of the last few games where we've not done well, he has not been at the top of his game, and that has to change. That has to be something we need in order to get our form back and make a run towards the end of the season. So yeah, sorry guys, I'm going to give him a 5. Odegaard, I'm going to give a 6. I think we all knew at the beginning of the game he was really tired and injured after the Villa game, and to start 3 days after in a Champions League quarter-final, a game of this magnitude, I don't think any of us sat here and thought that we were going to get the 100% of Martin Odegaard, but he tried. But unfortunately, I just thought Lerma did a fine job of limiting him today. And that was just because I think Odegaard lacked the energy. And when you are the highest energy player on the team, and one of the highest energy players and the best creative player in the Premier League, that's a standard that's a standard to drop off from, which is kind of crazy. And isn't that a current theme here today, guys? The theme we're hearing now is that they're just not as good at their level that they produced over the first quarter, or maybe the first third of the year. And maybe that's because, again, Vincey laid this on, and I've mentioned this a few times now, that the squad depth needs to be stronger. It's good squad depth. It's not great squad depth. And so maybe that's something that we look at in the summer, that if you can take out a Kevin De Bruyne as your number 10 and put in a Phil Foden, then that's elite. We take out an Odegaard and we put a Smith Rowe in, and a Smith Rowe, by the way, who can't even play well as a number 10. He's never, ever, in his Arsenal career, ever dominated in that position. He's always played well on the left, played well at the 8, and done well. At the number 10, he's never once excelled for Arsenal. So you go from having the best number 10 probably in the league statistically right now to you just have no answer. You just don't have a plan B, a player on the bench who can come in that position and dominate in the way that Martin does. You just don't. And I saw that in the Villa game and I thought, oh, Lord, this is something they have to address in the summer. And my overall feeling after Villa and today is that it's pointless trying to overreact. For me, we just don't have the squad good enough to win titles and things like that. We're good. We're competing. This is what we wanted. We wanted to compete, right? That's exactly what we're doing. But now we're talking about winning trophies and beating the elite. And I'm sorry, I think our squad needs more. I think we need more. That moves me on to the forwards. Bukayo Saka, he failed today to provide the influence he's had. And it's not been there for a while. It's not been there over the last month. We haven't seen a dominating Saka performance. Great goal in the first leg. In the first leg, that was the goal of the tournament, of the tie for me. But the fact that you just, they double teamed them as well. Let's not sort of hide the fact that they came in, they double teamed him, which no other team in Europe has really done. We see it done in the Premier League. But then because he didn't have Ben White there, he struggled today and he didn't influence the game. So he gets a 5 for me. Martinelli, again, he missed a huge chance in the first half. Could have put us up 1-0. I thought he defended actually well today, but it was a complete different side of the coin to his offensive game, where I thought his positioning wasn't good, his creativity wasn't good, and I probably think we should have started with Trossard. But I did think he defended well, and that can't go unsaid. And Havertz had little impact simply because the fact that we didn't have a midfielder who could play balls into him, and so he didn't have a sniff at goal. And also, I think that Matthias D matched his physicality, which not a lot of people have been able to do against Havertz. Havertz is a nuisance, and he normally gets the better of defenders 9 times out of 10. And I thought he met his match today, and I thought he was defended against really well. But again, as I said, he didn't really have much service today. Arteta, I've given him a 6. Actually, let me give Arteta a 5. Let me knock him down to a 5. I thought he got the team sheet wrong. I thought I need to know tomorrow morning. I'll be sending messages to Zoe, finding out what's going on with Timber and what's going on with a few other players. Odegaard's injury, how injured is he? But the biggest thing for me is what's the Thomas Partey situation? Because he would have made a massive difference to today. But there's a reason why he's not playing. And we need to know. We don't know what that is. We're not privy to that information. But whatever the information is, it's hurting us because we're in a hole at the moment right now. So that's me, guys. And Tony, do you want to go next?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mind. Essentially, I'm not going to do a player rating. I just want to put my feelings in about the game. Obviously, you know me, I'm sort of a glass half full kind of guy. I have to agree with a lot of what you said, Apollo, in terms of elite team. Oh, that's a terrible ball. So yeah, I wish players could step up. I wish players could perform at a different level to that which we've seen. But the truth is just out there. Some of these players are not good enough. And, I think Man City knew exactly what they were doing when they got rid of certain players. And we thought we were profiteering by picking 2 gems out of their squad. But we really didn't. We got 2 good players, but they weren't the elites.
No club gets rid of players that are useful for them, Tony.
Say that again, buddy.
No club in the world gets rid of players that are useful for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not exactly true. Palmer went to Chelsea. I just say. Keep going, Tony.
I mean, ultimately, they got rid of them because they had sufficient numbers able to, be more effective when they put the other players in that they bought to replace them. So, yeah, they might have been useful for a couple of seasons, but what they had done when they went out in the transfer window is they bought players that they knew would be upgrades to those players. When they got rid of Jesus, well, you bought a striker who's going to score you loads of goals, but you already had 2 strikers in the books. You might turn around and go, well, did they make a mistake with Cole Palmer? I don't think so. I do believe, come on, this has got to be a goal. This has got to be a goal. Oh, give it. No. So, yeah, with Cole Palmer, they might look back on this in hindsight and go, we could have kept him and we could have had ourselves a good backup striker. Yes, but more than likely, you'll see them go out this summer and buy somebody because they made a lot of money on the Cole Palmer deal, and they'll probably be making so much money because what you got to remember is Man City are now profiteering. They're making huge profit every year. Champions League final, FA Cup final, FA Cup semi. They're on TV all the time. Club World Cup. All of these things are bringing them revenue. So they're no longer saying, okay, we can get by. We can actually go and get the best. So, yeah, they didn't quite go all out on Declan Rice. But guaranteed this summer, they'll break the bank for 2 players. And those 2 players will make them even better. And that's where we are. We aren't able to compete against the juggernaut that is Man City. And I've said this so many times, but I've enjoyed the ride being up close next to them. The fact that we beat them twice this year, once in the Community Shield, once in the league, and we've drawn away in the league. Yeah, great. It's great improvement. But we haven't got the players capable, when it really boils down to it, to make a difference at this time of the season. Whereas Man City, I'm looking at their bench right now, and they have a host of players who could easily start for Arsenal. That's where they're at. They have players on their bench who could start for us. This kid Doku is fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Who's next?
Yeah, Daku Saint Maximin is playing well, Tony.
Yeah, I'll go next because I want to jump off. I've got to be up at 4 o'clock.
Go ahead, Gal.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you, Chad. I'm not going to worry about the player ratings. I think there was no one that really stood out for me tonight. The usual Ben White mistake or laziness where he just doesn't get out and then he leaves the door open for the guy just to nudge the ball, 1 millimeter inside and whip the cross in. He's got to stop that. But I'm more disappointed with the way that we went out rather than going out. I think you've got to try everything you can to sort of score one goal, and we just didn't do that. And I truly think that we've just gone in the first half of the season before pre-Dubai, we was overcomplicating situations on the pitch, and it was like always constantly trying to walk this ball into the net. Went away to Dubai, come back, and it was literally like a different team. They would come in, all the football was sharp, it was crisp, it was simple. Bang, 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 shooting on sight, goal, goal, goal. Now, I know that you're not going to keep that up. You're not going to go out every week and blow teams away inside 15, 20 minutes, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. I know that's not going to happen every week. But somewhere along the line, we've gone backwards to pre-Dubai, where we're trying to overcomplicate things. When Jesus plays, he wants to beat the same man 3 or 4 times. We've all mentioned it. Martinelli. I mean, how did Martinelli get a start today? I just don't understand. He's done nothing I can't even remember last time he had a good game. It was probably when he come on and scored 2 late on. But that game was already done anyway. We'd already won that game. But he gets a start in the biggest game of our season. And I just don't understand that. He doesn't produce nothing on the left. And today, there was that one cross, Vincey. You remember when he was on the corner of the area, not where he should be for the cutback. And then when he was where he should be for the cutback, he takes it with his left foot instead of his right foot. And you're just thinking, like, the decision making at this level is not good enough. You saw that guy last night. If you watched the Barcelona game, that Bradley Bicola, what a player! 21 years old. Every time he got the ball, all he wanted to do was take his defender on, and he done it time and time and time again. 21 years old. There are players out there, that can do this, and we need to go and sign a couple. But for me, I think we just need to stop overcomplicating things and get back to keeping simple football wins games. Disappointed that we're out, but I'm more disappointed about the way we went out. And that's really all I've got to say.
Oh, Gary. Can I go
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot because I've got to be up at 4. I'll see you later, guys.
Take care, Gary. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
See you later.
For me, I look at the tie. I thought, you know what? Arsenal have shown a lot about themselves in how they've handled the first leg and the second leg. We played with a lot of passion at home, and I think the first half, areas in that first half, we showed our naivety and conceded 2 goals. But we still had good scoring opportunities. Ben White had a good opportunity in that first half. But the way we came back in that second half, for me, showed so much about the progress of how we have come as a team. So to go in today's game needing to just a goal and not to concede, and the way how we played that first 45 minutes, I was happy with that, because we've got to understand we're away from home. Yes, we're out. Yes, it's disappointing that we're now having to chase in the Premier League. But I think today has shown that the club has moved forward. I'm a little bit frustrated in that substitutions, because I don't think the substitutions helped the team in a situation where they needed to get a goal back in the game. But with the players that they have on the bench, it's a decision that Arteta needs to make. I think what it has shown me is that in pressure situations, and we can talk about the record goals that Arsenal have scored in the league, but at the business end of the season is how you manage the game and you manage the opponent and how you deal with pressure and how you compose yourselves. Because I think those are the fine margins that make the difference at the business end of the season. That's something that we need to learn. And it's no disgrace in this stage to Bayern Munich, because I know people will say, Bayern Munich's not a good team and so forth. But Bayern Munich took the game to Arsenal when we were scoring goals in the centre. And how they took the game to us at our ground is by playing counter-attacking football. And they took chances, and that put the pressure on us. So, yes, experience gets you so far in this league, and we're going to have to learn very quickly to remedy that. How Arteta picks up the squad is going to be huge, because this is a huge disappointment for them. I know and for us as fans, we wanted us to go forward, and it's going to be huge, and it's going to be something that the guys, I think they've held their head proud in how they played this two-legged quarterfinal. Next year, we have to make some serious decisions about how we want to play as a team. And I don't think we can just get replacements just to play the same type of football, because it's shown that when you're going to come up against these calibers of opponents, we're going to have something different. Missing Partey today was a huge miss. Missing players on form, whether it's Martinelli, whether it's Saka, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Ben White, whether it's Declan Rice. There's so many players at this stage that may be slightly off their game, but that's where you've got a squad. And if you don't use your squad in those situations, or probably leading up to these games, don't allow those players to be at their best. So I think there's a lot for Arteta to learn. And I think he's given us a taste of where this club has come from. And it's encouraging.
Good stuff. Thank you, Vincey. So, guys, we've all had a say. Any last comments before we shut this off? Oh, wow. Really, Bernardo?
Yeah.
Pass back.
when it doesn't work, it looks terrible, doesn't it?
It does.
Uh-oh. And Kovacic miss again. Kovacic missed 2-1.
And look at these penalties from a team that's experienced and got quality. It shows you what pressure can do. And they had chances in this extra time, and they even showed frailties there. So pressure is it's not just about Arsenal Football Club succumbing to pressure. Pressure's pressure, and it affects everyone.
And you look at these two teams, and these two teams have been designed to be where they're at. There's no accidental, there's no, this manager is this. No, we've bought the best lineup of players on the planet to be in this position. And also have not done that. You guys are about 2 penalties ahead of me, because I just saw the Kovacic save.
Yeah, no, Madrid's going to win it. Choking.
Guys, one thing I noticed tonight when I was watching this Man City extra time is De Bruyne looks like he's lost some pace. He looks like he's struggling out there.
He's getting on a bit now, Vincey. He's not young anymore.
looked like he's struggling, and it's a good penalty, Foden.
Still advantage Real Madrid though, right?
Yeah. Silva's misses will be talked about. When you do that and it scores, it's all great. But when you miss, it's awful. Don't miss if you're gonna do that. The keeper already knew what he was doing. He didn't move an inch.
Great penalties. Great penalties. Corners, keepers not saving them.
Madrid have it wrapped up.
You know what? I know a few years ago there was talk about Ancelotti. I love this guy is a player. Yeah. If you want to know what a midfielder was like, go watch this man on YouTube. Ancelotti. As a player and as a manager, this guy's got some talent, man.
But he does have some players there, though, because his forward line is what we call
but he can get a team playing.
And he's adding the best forward in the world to his team.
Oh, what a penalty from a goalkeeper. Edison.
He's showing Silva how to do it. No, his kicking is ridiculous. No, his kicking is one of the best in football, period, regardless of position. I mean, look when he plays this penalty. The keeper has no chance.
And that's what I'm saying. You look at that chance that Martinelli had, and it's like, that's a goalkeeper taking a strike. I know it's dead ball, but there's what I'm saying, technique. Technique is in that situation. What a...
So last penalty, right?
Yeah, yep.
Rudiger.
He's not a bad dead ball.
He can mix this.
He scored a few for Chelsea. Great finish. There you go.
A brilliant penalty. Yep. Man City's out.
Wow.
All the English teams are out.
Wow. Wow.
So, guys, I mean, look, we've stayed on long enough. We are 6 minutes away from the hour that I allocated. We've stayed long enough to see that Man City have just been knocked out on penalties on their home ground. What
does that affect our Euro standing in with extra player in?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I do think though sometimes I think Pep should have played Doku earlier. I just don't understand him sometimes when he does that. Like you cannot mark the kid. You gotta play 2 players on the kid. So that means if you're Man City, who always dominates the ball, and you have an extra man, you should be in a good slot. That's the way I view it. Now, Grealish didn't play badly. Don't get me wrong. He didn't play badly. But Doku just creates so much mismatches and forces you to make so many changes. That's what Arteta doesn't do. He doesn't put you in a position to win.
Yeah.
During the game.
And you know what, Bertram? I feel your pain about wingers beating players. I don't say often much about it, but yeah, I would love Saka to be a two-way player who could go inside a player and go outside. And he fails miserably at going outside players.
Yeah. So then you can't get behind the defense, Tony. You ever pass the ball behind the defense? You can't get behind the defense on your own. So then you got to try to play 1-2 to get behind the defense, right? Yeah. If you get behind defense on your own, then the defense is scrambling. Yeah. And we don't make defenses scramble, which is the frustration I have.
But Tony, to what Bertram has been saying very early in Saka's career, that's the area of his game that he hasn't developed.
And you know what, Tone? To further emphasize that, I don't think the manager wants him to do that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of tactics that you, when you see a player and you think, actually, you know what, you should go both sides. But then you understand and you see the way how he plays. That is coaching
consistently.
So Tony and Vinci. So the commentator said today, Doku is not Guardiola type of player, which makes sense, right? Because he wants control, but you need maverick in your team sometime to create mayhem in situations like this.
Marvis was the same.
When you have tough team to play against, tough defense to play against, you need that maverick to create mayhem, and that's what he did today against Madrid. But Madrid still came on top.
But Mahrez was that type of player as well. Mahrez was a maverick.
But Mahrez could be the player.
Yeah.
He looks up in the air and fake it and then cut it back. Yeah, Saka got to do more of that.
This is what I'm saying.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny, guys? Saka stats are off the chart this year.
I don't want to see
most games, Saka gets 6 and 5s, between 5s and 7s. Last year, he got a lot of 9s and 8s. This year, he didn't play as well as last year, yet his stats are better than last year, which is really
and this is where people get a little bit in love with stats. Stats is one thing, but when you actually look at the eye test in actually how he's performed, as I said about 2-3 weeks ago, last season he's actually played better.
Yeah, he did,
and that's how it's helped the team.
Yeah, but he doesn't dominate. He hasn't been dominating. He hasn't been dominating any games. I haven't seen him dominate games. Like, I need my player who's supposed to be world class and is deemed to be in the upper echelon. Like, I see Mbappe, I see Bellingham, I see all these. Even Doku today, when he came on, was dominating the game. I don't see that from him. And Martinelli may not be up to speed because he was injured. He's out. His season was disrupted. He hasn't played as well as he did. He hasn't had a great season either. At one point, he had little goal or assist, and then he came on for a bit. So it's been interesting.
I do believe the adjustments that teams have made in double teaming both of them have stopped them considerably in how they played last year. But this is where we've got to make adjustments to counter that, and how we get them one-on-one in situations so we can get them to run in at players.
Cam, Arteta is not going anywhere for a while. Let me just say that. He's not going anywhere for a long while. If you don't win for the next 2 years, if he stays in the top 4, he's not going anywhere.
I must admit, seeing Jude Bellingham I just feel proud for the kid. I feel like his whole journey, the fact that he's standing up for out in racism in Europe, I just think what an amazingly good guy. And what a great advert for football.
But also, T,
I think the most impressive,
the style of football that he's actually playing at Real Madrid, you wouldn't associate. He's very mature football that he's playing with young heads.
I think his brain is more impressive than his football.
Yeah.
I think his maturity at a teenager, 19, 20, the way he commands the room, the way he communicates, his charisma, how articulate he is, that's to me more impressive than his football. Because I remember when I was 19. That's not how a 19-year-old behaves. I can tell you that one.
Would you say he's playing within himself, guys? Bellingham. Would you say he's playing within himself? His ability.
I think he's on a team with a lot of great players, right? So you
have
to
for sure.
You can't just go on a bad Maverick with your own thing.
You know what though? You can sometimes be out of your depth when you have that kind of quality around you. And what is shown is he belongs at that level. He fit in like a glove.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes players, and we know this. Sometimes it takes players a season to acclimatize to the speed of the league or the way the team plays. He has gone in and just dominated his section of the pitch from the get-go.
Yeah, here's a question for Southgate. Do you play Bellingham and Foden in the middle of the park? Does Bellingham play the 8 and Foden play the 10?
I don't.
I play Rice at the 6 because otherwise, those two are extremely effective in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
But you've got to have discipline outside and across the rest of the team to allow those players to perform. I mean, going back to what Tony was saying, do you think that's what we're missing in our team? That type of mentality of playing within your zone and in your position?
No, we have too much of that.
No, in a way.
Think about it. We don't have a Maverick in our team. Who's a Maverick in our team? Maybe the Martinelli a little bit. Maybe a little bit of Martinelli, but we don't have Mavericks in our team.
Yeah, we don't.
They all stay in their zones. Think about it. Saka stay in his zone. Saka don't try anything. And when he tries something, it doesn't come off. Right? Rice plays his zone. Havertz doesn't have any zone. He just plays at his own pace. It's
the hour.
Thanks. I've enjoyed our post-match chat. I think we've been very constructive. We have been looking at things from the right angle and being respectable and respective with our speech. So guys, enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you on at the weekend, I guess, for a game. I can't remember who we've got this weekend. Is it Wolves?
I guess Wolves.
Double header.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, guys.